good on. I'm all recording, so fantastic. Double cheeked up Yazeed over here. That's incredible. Good for you.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming. You know, like before, I'd have no booty, but now I got booty for days. Like
now you're clapping, but you ain't using hands.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Like, it's not like a bubble butt, right? Like, I'm not Nicki Minaj, all right? But if you were gonna like grip my cheeks, there'd be something and be firm and probably enjoyable, all right? Is all I'm saying.
Great. That's definitely the opening of the podcast.
All right.
There's no topping that.
No worries. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. I'm Yazeed, and this is Joseph.
Hello, I am Joseph, and today is, oh God, what is it?
It's
June 30th.
Oh, my God. I thought it was the 29th.
Did you say 9th?
I thought it was the 29th.
Oh, yeah. It's June 30th, 2020.
Dude.
Hello.
Nice haircut under that hat.
I'm full on bald under this hat. Not like bald. I'm like shaved head under here. Synovia was originally planning on doing like a fade or like a situation where it's kind of like, shave here and then you kind of ease into kind of a shaggy top, kind of loose like I had before. It just didn't go as planned, and some decisions were made last minute to basically abort the mission. And now I have a shaved head, and that's okay. I'll just wear a hat for a while. I much prefer this to having the nightmare that I had before.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are learning two things about themselves during this. One, cutting hair is really hard, and two, having long hair is kind of a nightmare.
Especially when it's like 105 outside. It's been nice the past couple of days, but it's not cool out.
It's not gonna last either. Literally, like Thursday, it's been like 93-degree high, and then Friday is like 108. Suffer, like stay inside or die. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should be staying inside anyway.
Yeah.
Like state is not doing well. They just shut down a bunch of new stuff because of. Anyway, yeah, not a good time to be outside in Arizona.
No.
Or inside.
I mean,
it's not a good time to be in Arizona.
It really is. It's like really unfortunate timing for moving back, or is it? I don't actually know how Seattle is doing.
Well, there's that whole like area of Seattle where they just decided to get rid of all like law enforcement, and it's just like a total nightmare apparently. Anyway, it seems like not great. So,
dang.
Chaz/shop. Anyway, whole thing. Yeah, not great there either. But I'm happy I moved back. I just like it here.
Nice.
Even though it's kind of rough.
I think the move was to move to New Zealand and live with the sheep of New Zealand.
That was your thing when you came back from New Zealand.
Dude,
ever since you came back from New Zealand,
I still want to move there. That place was fantastic.
I don't know. You went for Lord of the Rings stuff, and I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so
yeah, you wouldn't like it. I know you wouldn't like it. For people who are like, how do you know that? I've known Joseph. I've known Joseph for so long. I know he doesn't drink a gallon of Kool-Aid per day.
So, you want to talk about where that's from?
No, we're just going to make that reference and move on. If you're really interested, there's a podcast I listen to called Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. Tom Segura is probably my favorite comedian right now. It's just great.
Basically Yazeed knows the weird things about me, and he knows that I don't like nerd stuff, and I feel like New Zealand is Lord of the Rings, so therefore it is nerd stuff forever, and it's always associated with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so like, I don't know. I think that if you just were like Lord of the Rings is New Zealand, I think you're missing a lot, because like a lot of movies get filmed in New Zealand because it's so pretty.
What are some good ones?
I'm pretty sure Jurassic Park has some scenes filmed there, but like basically like any movie that has like really scenic shots, it's either Iceland or New Zealand. Like,
I've been wanting to go to Iceland for like a decade.
Yeah, it's on my list of places to go for sure.
We should go to New Zealand, or not New Zealand. What is it? Iceland? Yeah,
we could go to Iceland. Yeah, for a bachelor party. Here we go.
There you go.
It's probably cheaper than Japan. Just saying.
Probably. We'll never go to Japan. We've been planning that trip for, 15 years?
Here's the move, all right? The move requires that I step up my game, but we go to Iceland for your bachelor party, and we go to Japan for my bachelor party.
There you go. That'll be an experience.
Right? But here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that I will never have a bachelor party.
It's dark. But also I think the idea of like going out of the country for a bachelor party is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Even the idea of like traveling anywhere for a bachelor party is pretty intense. I don't care about my bachelor party, you know.
That's true, but I think it'd be fun to do. Be like a boys' trip.
I know what you mean, but like, ugh.
Maybe I should I'll workshop the title. Anyway, man, how's it going? What's up? What's happening?
What's up? Nothing. We bought a house, like I said last week, and we were in the house this week. Been a lot of house stuff been going on. Very tired, both of us, and kind of have this ever-growing list of things that we need to do, and we have this one fan that we had to replace the light bulbs for, and we ordered the wrong light bulbs 4 times.
Yep.
So it's like house stuff that I guess people always kind of alluded to, but I never really like experienced it. So now I really know what they were talking about. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of fun. You know, we have a yard. We also have a dog now.
Hey.
So Zenobia's dog from her parents' house is now here, and she's great. We play. She likes one ball, and we play with that ball.
I wonder what it is about dogs when they just zero in on like a toy. They're like, this is the toy I like. All of the toys are inferior. I don't want to play with them.
Is that the same with Sapphire?
She has one toy that she actively hates, and then one toy that's her favorite, and then like 2 toys that she's like meh about, like depending on circumstance, and one toy that I don't like. So,
because it's annoying or what?
No, it's basically like an elastic band, so like it stretches with 3 tennis balls on it. When she shakes her head, she's slammed him against the wall, and I'm always afraid she's gonna let go and she's gonna crack my TV or something.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
No,
whoever made that.
I wondered why it was on clearance, because it was her favorite toy, and then the first time she played with it, I was like, I gotta take this away from her now. She's getting too excited. She's getting too into this.
Yeah, that's some lack of foresight from whoever made that dog toy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pepper likes one in particular that smells like bacon, or tastes like bacon, I guess. And so Zenobia was saying that they keep replacing that ball with another one of the same ball, just because it's the only thing she likes. So
yeah,
but yeah, she's cool. Playing with the dog, getting the house ready. Just got this desk put together today. Didn't have it before, so I was like on the floor, like using my shoe boxes as a desk. So it wasn't ideal. But yeah, anyway, house stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it's weird because you think that like you'll like take one item off of your to-do list, but then every time you do, there's just another item on your to-do list, and you're basically continuously being like, all right, well, I got to do this now.
It's cool because we have control over everything, like everything within this boundary. We don't even have an HOA, which is amazing.
Oh my God.
We have a neighbor with like 13 cars in their front yard. No one cares. You know, I mean, I care. I think it kind of bothers me, but like, I don't care. You know what I mean?
It's not ideal to have that many cars, but I'm not gonna.
And they're always different cars. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. It'd be weirder if they had like 15 VW Beetles, all yellow. I think I'm more happy that they're all different.
No, I mean like the cars seem different like every.
Oh,
like,
that's different. I thought you were complaining that every car this person owned was a different type of car. I was like, that's normal. I think it'd be weird if they were all the same.
No, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's just, yeah, no HOA, which is nice. But the fact that we can control everything within this boundary is cool. But it's also like, oh wow, we can paint every wall. Should we paint every wall? What color should we paint that wall? And then like, okay, well let's add a hypothetical if we paint this wall plan. And then like, oh god, you know, like all these different kind of things that come out of it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just at a certain point want to just not for a little bit and be like, hey, it's been we moved in 6 days ago. You know, just kind of like. Just kind of take inventory of what we have going on. I think the only thing I finished is this room behind me, which is a closet full of like games. I also have a framed Kanye tweet in there, which is pretty good. It's like the centerpiece of the entire
I saw
closet.
You tweet that.
Yeah, it's a top tier thing I have going on in this store. You'll see that when you come visit whenever we're able to do that.
Yeah.
Also bought a grill. I want to be a grill person, so I bought a grill today at the Ace Hardware.
Very nice.
Yeah. That was a cool experience. Felt like becoming a man in a way, you know? It's like getting your first grill for your house. It's like walking out of the A, it's like changed person.
If you think about it, you're basically like 1.5 children away from the American dream. You have a dog, a car, house, a grill, a fiance. You're pretty much there, dude.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like this really weird feeling of like actually feeling like I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's been very hard to feel like that for like a lot of like most of my life. But you know what I mean? It's like, wow, it's actually going okay. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, it's a cool feeling. I like house life.
Nice.
This is fun for me.
Congratulations, dude. It's awesome.
Thank you. Home people.
Homeboys. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. The never-ending parade of things that you have to do gets wary, and then there's like a certain inertia where you just stop caring about things. Case in point, my box. Yeah, it's just, like, at a certain point, you're just like, you know what? It's fine. It's not in my way. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Synovia is like the driving force here because I am that already. I'm like,
you're 16 in, you're already like, I'm done. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we had to get so much new furniture. I had to order furniture for this room. I had to set up all this room. I lost the screws to this desk. I had to go find them, and that was a pain. And all this other stuff. And it's like I'm just trying to live, you know. I have a bed. I have a desk. I have a computer. What do I need? And then. Anyway, Synovia's like, well, we can make this better. We can add like some like flavor and add some like coolness. And I'm just like, we'll get to it.
This man is born with inertia. That's very funny.
Yeah. We also have fruit trees. And the other day I watered my trees and I was like, this is it. This is like what I spent my whole life going for, you know, just to have my trees that I water.
That's awesome. Yeah. What kind of fruit trees do you have?
I have a grapefruit tree, a pomegranate tree, and 2 peach trees, I think.
Do you eat peaches?
Yeah, I love peaches.
Do you eat pomegranates?
I don't like pomegranates so much, but I feel like we could do something with them. It's actually funny because like my Nana's house, they always had pomegranate trees and grapefruit trees. And my tata would always water his trees, like those trees. So it's kind of cool. It's like
full nice. Circle, you know? Well, if you aren't going to eat your pomegranates, I, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, love pomegranates. Hate peaches and have never eaten a grapefruit. So
Really?
Yeah, I've never even tried one.
I don't like grapefruits.
It looks like an orange that's tart. Sad, and I'm okay without trying.
But it's like it's tart, and it's like really not. I mean, some people put sugar on them. Like my Nana puts equal packets on them, and sweetens them up. And
there's an episode of Drake and Josh about that.
Sugar on grapefruits?
Yeah.
I think I missed that one.
It's when the parents pretend arrest Drake and Josh for being irresponsible, and the dude then they have to like actually arrest the guy, and that guy has like a grapefruit in his pocket, and he's like, "Yo, you guys have like sugar packets or whatever."
Yeah, I remember. You're right.
And then they make fun of people with sugar packets in their pockets, and I have sugar packets in my pockets.
Do you really?
In some of my jackets, in my older jackets, like jackets I used to wear in college, 100%.
What's the thinking there? Like, why walk around with sugar on you?
It is to play into a pickup line that I will probably never use my whole life. And now you remember the pickup line. I know you
I remember.
Yeah. Remember earlier when I said there's nothing ridiculous about me? And I'm wrong.
Yeah, I remember. You suck.
I'm only using it on my friends.
That's actually, I used to walk around with 2 pennies in my pocket. And then when there would be like a conversation going, I can give my really quick opinion and then slam the pennies down and say, well, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, you did that to me once.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I did that. That's my point. Like, I'm making fun of you for being a weirdo, but we're both kind of weirdos.
I think it's dangerous for us to be this close to each other.
It's like when 2 black holes collide. It's like, what happened?
Dude, you're just like big question marks sometimes. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
So, I want to change topics for a second because you recommended a YouTube channel called Prim's Hood Reviews. And
Hood Cinema.
Hood Cinema, thank you. And he just reviews, I think, only horror movies. I've only watched 2 of his videos, though.
I think he's got some other more like drama, like Boys in the Hood and Juice and a couple others that are more, because it's like hood movies, he calls them. So it's kind of however you define
I see. Yeah. So I watched his reviews of Candyman and Leprechaun. And of the two, Leprechaun was way funny. I've never watched either of those movies, which just makes the review process like surreal almost, because the way he explains those movies, it really points out like how absurd some of this stuff is.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And like plot holes and dumb characters and dumb decisions and kind of like, I don't know, making fun of the storytelling. Like he's just a really good critic. You know, he's actually like a really effective critic, but he's hilarious.
Yes.
Like, we were watching I was watching the No Jumper podcast earlier this week, and he referenced this dude, and so I went to go look up this dude, and then me and Synovia watched like pretty much all of his videos. We were dying laughing, and so I sent you the Candyman one, thinking that was my favorite, but it's actually kind of funny that you didn't like it. But yeah, no,
it's not that I didn't like it. It's just the Leprechaun one was so much funnier because the Leprechaun movie itself is just so less coherent.
It's ridiculous.
Like it's just legitimately, it's like I think he was right where he was like, it seems like they had like half a story and they were just like, like just figure out the rest as we film, I guess.
Like his reaction when the leprechaun hits the blunt, like it's a horror movie where the bad guy is like coming in and smoking your weed before he kills you. Like, I don't know, it's just ridiculous stuff like that. The whole movie is so, it's almost like a comedy because it's so stupid.
Yeah, and then like Leprechaun like rhymes with it too. It's like a friend in green is a friend indeed, or something stupid. And the guy was like,
or I think it was a friend with weed is a friend indeed.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't even know what to do with this. It's like
stupid though. But yeah, that dude is hilarious. He only has, I don't know if he used to have more videos on YouTube that were taken down for copyright stuff or what, but he has like 18 videos and they're all pretty good. Some of them are like top tier, some of the best YouTube videos I've ever seen.
Nice. There's like, they're not like a critic of individual films. They more like break down genres across films, or like genres and like archetypes and stuff like that, called The Take, that I really like. But they're like way more serious. Like they just like, they like actually like break down into like one of my favorite videos. They talk about like the anti-hero thing, and they break down like Walter White and like the appeal of Walter White, and then like, I didn't know this apparently, but like there's two phases of the anti-hero. There's like the Walter White era of like the anti-hero who's like maybe redeemable, and then there's the modern, then there's like the new one, like Ozark is, I guess, like the direct comparison from Breaking Bad. It's like Breaking Bad is the version 1 anti-hero, and then the main guy from Ozark is the version 2 anti-hero, where he's like, he's never gonna get redeemed, basically. Right. Like the whole thing is like, he's just not a good person. So yeah, I don't know.
But doesn't Walter White kind of like fall into that at a certain point?
The way they explained it was basically like the version 1 has the, like, always seems like they could become good, or like there's always like the possibility that they'll become good, and in the version 2 that possibility just like flat out doesn't exist, and also you traditionally don't see them become bad. It's like Ozark starts with the dude selling drugs, whereas Breaking Bad like shows you him starting out.
But Ozark, like, that guy isn't doing it out of, it doesn't seem like he's doing it for his own reasons. Anyway, but no, like what I'm saying, like by the end of Breaking Bad, Walter White is not redeemable.
Doesn't he kind of redeem himself by saving Jesse?
I guess so, but like he is a bad person, and there's no going back from that. Like,
yeah,
having a bad person doing a good thing doesn't mean that they can become a good person. I think.
See, I think I maybe did a poor job of explaining it. Maybe I'll just link the video to you and you can watch
sure.
it.
Yeah, sure.
They actually do like a pretty good job breaking it down, especially for like me who doesn't really understand like every film archetype, especially for like Breaking Bad and Ozark. I've never watched either of those shows, so, or like
you should watch Ozark. Never mind. You don't like crime stuff.
I'm not really into like crime stuff, or like Mad Men. I'm not really into either. So it's like I don't really understand.
Why? Why not Mad Men?
No reason. I just never watched Mad Men. Like I know of Mad Men. I've just never watched it, so I'm not that into it.
Yeah, all that stuff over there I've never seen. Not into it.
Yeah, well, like I have the opportunity to watch Mad Men because I have an HBO account, but I've just never watched Mad Men. I've never seen I've never like wanted to watch it, if that makes sense.
I think that show is cool. I've only seen the first few episodes though, because anyway, whatever. I think you might like Mad Men. It's very vivacious. It's got a tone.
What that means in this context.
Like it's got a vibe, you know. It's got a tone, it's got a
see.
feeling, it's got a style.
I see.
And like there's it's like everything is cool. Like it's all sleazy advertising kind of stuff, but it's cool.
Oh, okay.
Like dudes in suits drinking whiskey. That's like the vibe.
And like smoking in their offices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When Hood Cinema, Prim's Hood Cinema does the review of Candyman, he points out that like in super 90s and everyone's like smoking in the restaurant and stuff, and it's like that wouldn't fly in now. I was like, that's pretty true. I didn't realize, like, because we were young during the 90s, so I would have never have like registered how much more common smoking was.
Yeah, I also wasn't watching a whole lot of like, I wasn't aware of that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, the Denny's has a smoking section, you know, type stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even before that, it was like actually common when there was no smoking section. It's just like, yeah, you smoke.
Yeah. Or when he points out the 90s haircut and how awful it was, I was like, that's
the short hair, whatever.
Yeah, like the short, like hyper curly hair.
Yeah. Dude's hilarious. You should, anybody listening, if you're interested in good movie commentary, look up Prim's Hood Cinema on YouTube.
Yeah. Did you want to talk, or did you just like group all of your stuff together, or did you have individual things you wanted to talk about for your notes, or can you not see your notes? Because
I can't see my notes, so I don't know what's in there.
So you have Homeboy, BBE,
what?
Busy Energy.
Oh yeah, I've just been really busy this week. Which kind of leads into my next thing, but
and Dog.
Yeah, Dog. Yeah, we got Dog.
Nice.
So it's really just, I've been very busy with home stuff, been very busy with work, and I have done no home games work basically the entire time. And then also Dog. So we got Dog. And it's funny that within, 6 weeks, 2 months, we both became like dog people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog's where it's at. Speaking of dogs, Sapphire had a hero moment this week for me, where basically like where I live. If you'll listen to this podcast, you probably realize at this point that I live in a location where there's a lot of wildlife just occasionally out and about. I think yesterday, actually, we were out on a walk, and when we were coming back, there's, like, it's a residential street, so it's basically like one lane in each direction. And on the other side of the street, there was just a male javelina crossing the street towards us. And I was like, oh God, oh no, there's nowhere to go. I don't know what to do in this scenario. And Sapphire was like, don't worry, Chief, I got this one. And she just went off barking at it, which she almost never does. But she just started barking at it, and it panicked and ran away. And I was like, Sapphire, I love you. And I gave her a big treat when we got home. It showed her a lot of love for being a brave little girl.
Good thing it was just solo. It'd be pretty scary if it was like 12.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have gone down if it was a big family. But like a big boar javelina is, not like... I definitely was a little bit anxious around it. Like, I was like, do I like back away from it? Do I like try to run with Sapphire? But like, I don't know if she's going to just run with me or if she's going to like keep turning around and like seeing where it's at. So I didn't really know what to do, but she knew what to do. So I like that. Dogs are great. Love dogs.
Dogs are great. I think also javelinas are afraid of cars. Like if you get into a car and just honk at them, they'll probably scatter.
See,
because you could also, you could probably do some damage to a javelina with a car.
Yeah, you can kill a javelina with a car. I've seen javelinas killed by cars, but I'm not anywhere close to my house. Was the problem? I was probably like, like when you turn in down. I don't want to say street names, but basically like as you turn in down the main, and then there's like the little turn in. It was on the other side of the street on the turn in. So like it was in somebody's front yard. As I was like, I was like, oh no. Like, where do I go from here? Yeah. Like, walk all the way around, but it's walking towards us, so I don't know what to do. But yeah,
this is why I never leave my home or car.
Yeah, it's wild out there. But speaking of wild out there, I played more of the Ancestors game, and that game is so much fun, but so difficult.
Ancestors game?
Yeah, I talked about it last week, but it's the game where you play as like a really early human ancestor in the forests of Africa, and you got to figure everything out.
Yeah. It's still good?
It's super good. I recently learned how to go fishing, but my species hasn't evolved yet to eat meat, so they can't eat the fish, but I know how to fish. I also...
How do you...
What? Good.
How did they evolve to eat meat? Like, what do you have to do?
You pretty much just have to wait until one of the young kids has a mutation that allows them to eat not just fruit.
Is that so? Like, do you ever feel like blocked by that kind of stuff?
No.
Is there more to do other than, I mean, to me, evolving to eat meat is like the only thing, you know?
Oh, no. So there's like a ton of stuff to do. There's like exploration. There's like figuring out the mechanics of the game. Because like I said, like they don't teach you anything. They basically are like W moves forward, S moves back, spacebar is jump. If you hold it down, you sprint. If you right click, you make noise. If you left click, you interact. Figure it out. And that's like it. That's all they tell you. And so like the rest of the game is literally just figuring out how to play the game. So it's like, oh, I need to wait until I can eat meat, but I have all this other stuff to do. And there's also like you have to figure out like how to interact around other wildlife. Like how do you contend with a python? Like do you try to like intimidate it? Do you bring your like group with you, like a troop with you? Do you like back away whenever you find one? Like how do you interact with all these things? And also it's like little challenge, like sub challenges that you can do. So like I got the python to eat a boar, and then I got a python to eat the tiger, and I got the tiger to eat the boar, and I got the tiger to eat the python, and I got a crocodile to eat the boar. So it's like a lot of like, can you manipulate the world properly?
Okay, that just seems super complicated. Everything in that ate each other.
Yeah. Everything, and then the boar will mess you up, so you gotta like pay really close attention like everything you do. Basically like that game is like when I used to go hiking alone, where it's on like a nice like, okay, when you go hiking alone, it's not like super, it's not as, okay, it is dangerous and I don't recommend it.
Depends on the trail.
Yeah, it depends on the trail, but also like you have to be at least like 70% aware at all times of your surroundings, and playing that game is like that. You can't like zone out, because if you zone out and just like, oh, I'm jumping between trees, you ran into like a bird of prey and it ate you. Or like, oh, you're just like jumping between trees, you ran into a snake that you could have seen if you were paying more attention. Or like you'll miss certain things of like, oh, there's like a fruit that you haven't had yet that maybe gives you some benefits that you don't know about. It's like it's like the whole game is exploration, so I haven't felt gated at all by like having to wait for mutation.
The thing that seems like it interests you actually sounds a lot like Dark Souls. It's like this thing of you have to constantly be aware. Like you can't ever, even the kind of basic enemies and stuff, you can't really run by. You have to pay attention the entire time, and you can't not focus, or else you just get screwed.
Yeah, I like that, but what I think I like more about it is like, especially now because it's really hot and I can't go hiking, it reminds me of like the similar, like it makes me feel similar to how I felt when I was hiking a lot alone, where it was like you become like super aware of your surroundings, like to a degree that most people probably don't need to. So you'll notice like little movements, and you like focus in on it, and you're just like, and you have to make like snap decisions sometimes, like foot placement and stuff like that. Like it all becomes really important. I don't know. I really like that game. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you been following the Steam sale at all?
I know that there is a Steam sale. I haven't done anything with it though.
Yeah, I'm at that point where like all the games that are on sale, I pretty much have played, or like on other systems, or I have on Steam.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of not interested anymore. But it seems like they're really trying to make them interesting. Like they have these Steam points, and I guess you use those to buy cosmetics, and you get points from purchases. So it's kind of like this meta currency thing. I don't know. They're trying. I just wish I cared. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not really a game right now that's out that I'm like, I have to play this game. Like, I'm just waiting for Cyberpunk. That's like probably the only other game this year I'll buy, I think. Unless like something really surprising happens.
There's a game that's coming out that I'm super pumped for, but I forget what it was. So maybe I'm not that pumped for it. I don't know, whatever. There's definitely stuff, I think. But the SpongeBob remake just came out, you know? Real smoke and burner for the summertime.
Hey.
The Battle for Bikini Bottom or whatever. Old PS2 game. Anyway. I have that on Steam. It's a hot new release.
I don't know. It's like, I think that I don't know. I just feel like I feel like there's just games aren't as fun as they used to be. Like honestly, So I'm like way more picky about what games I'd get. Because like before I'd be like, well, this is $5. Like why would I buy like 4 of them? Like whatever. Maybe I'll buy them. Or like I'll just buy a Humble Bundle and be like, yeah, like I'll just buy this Humble Bundle. Like who cares?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Did I talk about this on the podcast for my EC2 instance? That I used to track my Steam stats?
Yes. You talked to me about it. I don't know on the podcast. I know about it.
Yeah. I think that might be another weird thing that I do. Like my stat tracking stuff. It's kind of like goes back to the achievement conversation we had. But no, the things I used to do, like I was thinking that I would play every game in my library and get every achievement in all of them or beat all of them, and just to kind of have some whatever, because I had like a very low bar for how much I valued my time. Mm-hmm. So it was like, yeah, I'll just spend like my 20s doing this. And then realized maybe it was a Sniper Elite 2 or something like that. Or it was one of those games where it's like a first-person shooter, sorry, this is off topic. Super generic first-person shooter. And I was like 2 hours into it, and I just had this like wall revelation just hit me. Just like, oh my God, I'm like killing myself. You know what I mean? I should stop doing this. So now I want to be pickier with the games I play, but what that means is I just play the same games over and over again because they're comfortable and I know I like them.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure it was Sniper Elite 2? Because we played that game a lot in college.
No, sorry. It's not Sniper Elite. Sniper Ghost Warrior. It's like some bullshit thing. Like it's so generic. You know what I mean? It's a Gun Boy 4, something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we played a lot of Sniper Elite for you to hate that game. Like.
Yeah, Sniper Elite's awesome. Sorry, that's not the one. That's a third-person game. I'm talking about a first-person one. I think it's called Sniper Ghost Warrior.
Okay.
That one, it like, broke me. And it wasn't even that bad. It just, like, I was playing it, and it was so not worth time you spent playing it. You know what I mean? It's like, So... yeah, I just been playing Modern Warfare and Gears of War 4 or Gears of War 5.
Nice.
I'm also getting very good at Gears of War 5. Like, I can pull off headshots real nice, and I can do real well. So, we should play Gears of War 5.
I really do like playing with you. I'm so bad at shooters that
I can carry you.
Like I mean, if you can carry me, then I'm down. Cause
I carry my team like all the time. Like my team 80% of the time is super trash and we still win a lot of the time. You know, it's like it's a whole thing. My team, everybody who plays Gears of War sucks except for me.
If there's a professional scene for Gears of War, do you think you'd be able to compete in it?
I don't think I can compete unless I like quit my job or something. But if I like made money from it, then sure, yeah. I mean, I could spend 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day playing Gears. It's like I've been playing that game since I was 12. You know, there's like something in my head.
Yeah.
About Gears of War. I don't know. I also totally suck compared to real like pros. I've seen a few videos of people who are actually very good at Gears of War, and it's like that level above what you think is the top, and you realize that you have no idea how good you are because there's way better.
Yeah. For me, that game was Rocket League. So like regular Rocket League is like you're driving on the ground. It's basically soccer with cars. Professional Rocket League is soccer with airplanes shaped like cars. And I can't do that, and I just watch it and I'm just like amazing. Or like professional CSGO where they're like, if I boost here and then take this shot through this barrel, maybe there's a guy on the other side. Oh, that was a headshot. Well, we won the round off of that because that was a perfect pick. And you're just like, how did he know? Or any of like, was that just luck? Like what happened here? I don't know.
Yeah. It's stuff is fun to watch. I don't like watching actual streams, but I like watching the condensed version of the skill. You know, like I used to watch Call of Duty montages back when that was like a thing on YouTube when people would put music over their videos and stuff.
The AMVs.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like a whole thing where you would watch people do like the 360 no scopes and whatever, and people still do that, but it's not as much of a thing. You know what I mean? You're just like, wow, people are stupid good at this game. Yeah.
I do like watching people who are good at stuff, but I recently went on the montage parody subreddit again.
Oh, dude.
It's literally like when we stopped talking about it is when that sub peaked. Like none of their modern content is good at all. And if you search for like top of all time, it's literally like the top post when we were like years ago watching this stuff on that subreddit.
Yeah, that whole genre of people just stream now. You know, people don't make like montages of stuff with let the bodies hit the floor over it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
or screaming.
Yeah. Just screaming.
Just
that's all. That's the content.
When you watch, if anyone who hasn't experienced like the montage era of like the internet, go watch the montage parody and realize like that's not far off from what they were really like. Like a lot of it was just people screaming and shouting over like old Xbox Live like voice chat. It's all crackly and stuff. Like it wasn't like it was pretty close.
I remember Tynan used to upload Modern Warfare, or no, not Modern Warfare, World at War montages. And we used to roast him. I used to roast him for it because he didn't get any views, kind of like the podcast. So he can roast us for this now. But I would be like, hey, like, you know, like whatever, saw your new video, dude, views 2 or whatever. And it's like, we would just always say views 1 or views 3 because he tried really hard to do his montages, but no one ever watched him because he kind of did them late. So I feel bad, but yeah, Tynan was one of those dudes. I was too. I did Halo ones.
Hey, do you remember? Okay, old school throwback maybe, but do you remember? I was talking to Tynan about this. Do you remember when we were playing Modern Warfare 2? You, me, and Tynan together. You guys got some kid to put his mom on chat, and you guys roasted his mom.
Yeah.
You remember that, right? That happened.
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah.
Tynan doesn't remember that. I remember that, but he doesn't remember that. Damn.
Yeah, we told his mom that she needed to better monitor what he was doing because he was being really rude online. Like we were actually kind of nice to his mom.
You were nice to his mom. You were roasting the guy, the little kid though. I don't know why that kid decided to put his mom on. Like, what was the thought process? What was the mom's thought process? What was that conversation like? I don't remember.
I could kind of see my mom doing that though. I mean, like, you know, just kind of generally uninterested or whatever, just kind of unaware of like, oh, he's playing a video game and there's people there. Who cares? Like, yeah, I'll talk to him, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of a loose thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine, like, taking my headset off and being like, Ma, these boys are being mean to me online. Get online and talk to them. I don't know why I'm doing my nerdy boy voice, because I mean,
that kid was kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a whole weird thing. That was one of our best moments of that whole era of playing a bunch of video games and being in Xbox Live parties was when we got that kid's mom to talk to us.
That was the peak of my Xbox Live experience, because shortly thereafter I could no longer hold a controller for long enough to play games with everyone.
Yeah. And the worst part of my Xbox Live experience was when our friend sent me a picture of his junk, and then it was like not even a close friend of ours. He's just like someone whose first name we knew, and he was like, "Hey Joseph, don't open that message. Jude is my dick." And I was like, okay. And I opened it, and it was like, why would you say
Why would you open it? He told you what it was. Why would you open it?
It sounds like something someone would say jokingly, you know? It's like, dude, don't open it. I don't know.
All right, I have to come clean, though. I did kind of throw some shade your way. We were joking about gamer names and what we would make a professional gamer name, and I definitely threw out X Constant Joseph X is my professional gamer name.
No, I was X Joseph, or no, I was Constant Joseph, and then I was X Joseph X, because when I first got my 360, it was like, what's your name? And you put in Joseph, and it's like, that name's taken. You want to do this instead for your gamer tag? So it said Constant Joseph, and I was like, oh sure, you know, I'm 12. That sounds okay. And then it was like a couple years later, and someone was like, Constant Joseph, what are you, constantly gay? And I was like, oh shit, change the So that I became X Joseph X, but they were different eras.
I'm sorry, I forgot the lore behind you. And then I asked Tynan about it, but apparently he still has retained Crunchy Shorts, but your name of Blue Waffles got banned.
That was just my headline when in my Constant Joseph profile was I like blue waffles, and that got suspended.
Yeah.
But Tynan's is just like, he's also Crunchy X Shorts, and I mean, it's not super obvious what he's referring to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we know. He's gross. We should get him on the podcast at some point.
We should
talk about music and stuff.
He should talk about like the music. That'd be pretty sick.
And CS:GO, and whatever else he's got going on in his life.
A lot of Valorant, from what I hear.
Oh God, of course.
I'm gonna skip one of the things I was gonna talk about, and I'll bring it up next week. But I want to bring
I can't
this
even
one
see
up.
the notes.
But when was the last time you watched The Emperor's New Groove?
I don't know. It wasn't like a long time ago, but it wasn't recent. It was maybe less than 5
Where
years
would
ago.
you rate it in terms of Disney movies?
It's up there. It's a good one. It's got some very memorable characters.
I would put it in top 3 of all time after rewatching it.
All Disney or all time?
All time, all Disney movies,
Okay.
which would probably put in like the top 15 of all time for me.
Okay. What was the revelation that you had? Why did you realize it was so good?
Kronk.
Yeah.
Kronk. That man, that movie, if you just strip away all the other characters, he's the best character. By far. By so far, it's ridiculous. He has moral dilemmas. He externalizes internal monologue. He's hilarious, a goofball. The kitchen scene where he goes in, the chef leaves, and then he just picks up where the other chef left off. Like, he's just...
I remember that scene.
Kronk. He is like the Renaissance man of Disney movies. Like, if you think about it, he's like hella ripped, like completely swole, but like caring because he's like a little chipmunk guy and he can talk to the squirrel. A good cook. Like, I don't know, man.
He reminds me of your brother.
He does remind me of my brother. Maybe that's why. Well, no, because then I would hate Kronk. No. Kronk I think him alone carries that movie. The rest of the movie is really good. Kronk makes that movie even better. Also, Yzma. Yzma's just...
Is she the bad lady?
She's the bad lady, yeah.
Yeah. Them two together are really good.
Yeah. The scene where she's going to pull the dagger out and she lifts up her dress and Pacha and Kuzco are like, oh God, no. Sorry. I watched a movie on Sunday and it stuck with me as being a fantastic Disney movie.
So you say top 3 Disney movies. I don't know if I've ever asked you. What are those 3?
After rewatching it, I really have to think about it. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure Finding Nemo is a Disney movie, no?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, Disney, that's my number 1. Then number 2, shoot, dude. Frozen 1.
You don't have to do it on
It's Frozen 1.
Frozen,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then Emperor's New Groove?
Then Emperor's New Groove, then Prime Moana.
So that's top 4?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the 5th, just to round it out, just to make it all a good number? How are you not putting The Incredibles in here, dude?
I'm not that into superhero movies.
I know you don't like that whole thing, but The Incredibles is so good.
Incredibles is in my top 10. I would rate it better than like Aladdin. I'd probably rate it. I don't really like Pocahontas. It's better than Little Mermaid because I don't like Little Mermaid either. I think it's better than Frozen 2. I think it's better than 101 Dalmatians.
But Snow White, that's a real classic.
I never really liked Snow White, honestly.
Dude.
Bambi, kind of trash though. I mean, the main character dies. Like, if we're really playing it
No, the mom dies.
Oh.
Bambi's mom dies.
Wow.
That's why she's Bambi. Or he.
He's a he because he becomes this big boy of the forest, I think.
Bambi just seems like a female. Anyway.
I don't know. Bambi's not up there. Like the really old Disney movies that everyone rates really highly, I'm not super into. Maybe Mulan is actually number 5, now that I think about it. Specifically because of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The I'll Make a Man Out of You song is just pretty much iconic.
Yeah. I knew about that song before I knew about that movie.
Dang.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of good Disney movies, but I also watched a Disney movie that I have to say is perhaps one of the worst movies I've ever watched in my whole life. Did you ever watch The Black Cauldron?
I don't think I've heard of that.
It is... I'll give you like a 4-sentence explanation that's better than the whole movie.
Okay.
There is a boy who raises a pig. It turns out that pig can reveal the location of a magic cauldron.
All right.
An evil king wants this cauldron. Mm-hmm. At the end of the movie, the king does not get the cauldron.
So it's a Disney movie.
It is a Disney movie, but it's the most generic Disney movie, and I knew it was a really low-rated Disney movie, and I knew people talked a lot of smack about it, but I was like, it can't be that bad. It's a Disney movie. It's bad. It's just, honestly, there's like 5 characters. One is a dog-shaped Donald Duck with the voice of Donald Duck.
Okay.
There's a character I don't even know his name. He's an old dude who's there, but he doesn't do anything, so he's just there to be there. There's a lady, she's okay, and the main character wants to be the best warrior in the whole kingdom. Apparently there's a war going on in the background, which is why there's no one else around, but they don't touch on that at all. They also don't really explain a lot of what happens in that movie at all, and I'm like a 26-year-old watching that movie. Like I should be able to understand the flow of a children's movie. I don't. There's like skips and jumps, I think, in the plot progression. But anyway, bad movie overall. Perhaps one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my whole life.
Is that a recent movie?
No, that's a really old Disney movie.
Okay. Like how old? Like Snow White old?
Before Mulan.
Okay.
Before Mulan, probably before Little Mermaid, I guess.
So like 80s? Was Disney a thing in the 80s? Well, I mean, like making that kind of movies in the 80s?
I don't know. I'd probably, like, art style, maybe like Snow White, dude. Honestly, like Cinderella.
Snow White's like the 50s.
Dude, okay, it's got to be after that. There's no singing at all. There's no songs in this movie. So like that's how old it is as a Disney movie. It's really,
I don't know.
It's, even if it's not old, that movie's trash. I don't recommend it, but you should watch it.
I should watch it with Zenobia. I wonder what she thinks about it because she's a big Disney fan.
No, dude, she won't like it.
Regardless of this, I'm actually not super into Disney.
I guarantee she won't like it. It's so unlike any other Disney movie that it's not good.
But even if it's like a happy ending, and it's technically Disney, and it's kind of like okay as a movie, it'll probably be fine.
I can't even say it's like a Disney movie. It really doesn't feel like a Disney movie.
It's so weird to me. Sorry. I'm a very sleepy person. But yeah, that sounds really weird to me. That I like Disney very much has a very pristine like track record, and everything that doesn't do well, like Cars 2 and The Last Dinosaur, and the little things that don't really do great, they just kind of, you just don't even think about them.
Oh, this movie, I think they like actively were putting down. Like I'm surprised it was on Disney Plus. Like from what I heard, this movie was really like hidden by Disney. Like you won't find any mentions of it in most of Disney's stuff.
Yeah, but then they put it on their service.
They did put it on their service.
They don't have to.
They didn't have to. No, it is god awful though. Watch it with Zenobia. Let me know what you guys think of it. What you two think of it. But it is such a bad movie. I don't even know how to properly explain how bad that movie is. That's how bad it is. But anyway, are you ready to move on to home game stuff?
Yeah, home game stuff.
Okay.
Sorry, don't mean to be yawning into the...
You're good. Basically, like last week, the week before this week, I took the week off. So this week, basically what I did was I went through and I finished writing all the unit tests. So unit tests are done for everything. But one of the things I realized while I was doing that is, and I think I probably mentioned this before on the podcast, but like our functions are not pure. And for people who don't know what that means, it basically means like they don't have side effects. And if you don't know what that means, it means they don't affect things that are outside of the scope of that function. And if you don't know what that means, I don't know how to explain it specifically.
Let's say, for example, Yazeed has an attribute and it's age. And every time I call Yazeed's get age method to get that number, Yazeed is actually incrementing his age up by 1.
Yeah.
It has a side effect. It has a side effect of actually modifying the value, which seems to be outside of the actual declared function, like the functionality that you actually want with get name. Someone who's calling get name might not know this thing is happening under this behind the scenes, and therefore doesn't account for it in their logic, and can just create kind of messiness all throughout, which is a big reason why we have messiness in home games.
Yeah, and so one of the things I wanted to talk about basically was like, so like one of the things and one of the attributes I noticed while I was doing it was like this stop player as like the attribute for all games, like the player array, like of all players who get placed into that array. I'll let you finish.
Sorry. You have players in an array.
Yeah, so
yes.
Basically, like as a new player joins, one of the very first things we do is we place them into that array. But we do that by just pushing into that array. I
thought it was a map. I thought we I'm like 80% sure that we assign because we have
Why a
an
player ID.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it's
it
ID
is
to
a map.
player.
It is a map. Sorry. Either way, array object.
Basically the same. They're not the same, but they're basically the same.
Yeah, I mean anyway.
Two different tools that can do the same things.
So but anyway, like, but what I was trying to say was like, I feel like maybe we should start to take a look at changing the way we do that. So instead of like adding it to the existing object, to instead return a new object with that key in there, and then to set that value to be that returned object, if that makes sense. So
just make players immutable.
Yeah, basically, like, I think maybe we should start to suggest that attributes should be not immutable. Yeah, actually, sorry. The instance should be immutable, and then like that the value should just change wholesale. And the reason I'm suggesting that is for two reasons. One, it's something I've harped on a lot, is React does that, or not React, but Redux does that. So when Redux handles their store, they suggest that your store is immutable, and so they don't allow you to, or they don't. I think you probably could get around it, but like, you're really not supposed to change the object. You're supposed to return the whole object, and then it stores it.
Yeah, but Redux is all based on this whole thing of like your app is your app, and your app has a state, and data outside of your app can modify at any time, and you just need to be aware of when that happens to update your state.
Isn't that what we're doing?
The client doesn't have that state like that. It doesn't have like a deep awareness of what it's doing.
The client doesn't. So this would be like Redux, like more like Redis then, so like server side. But I don't know. I just feel like I think the server. I think like making them immutable would give us the advantage of that, but also we could add the ability to track when changes are made to certain objects better, like this. Because you can do diffs of the object, and you would know what changed, as opposed to just pushing into that like the main object. Also, it'd make testing a lot easier, which is
it would make testing easier. But I would argue the whole like the serialized game frame is kind of that as well. I mean, it's not really what you're talking about, but it gives you a representation of the state at any point, and it goes in a sequence. So it's not an immutable, like it's not a list of states of the actual object itself. It's like a list of the representations, or the representations of those states, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So there's no actual value to the programmer. It's just like a value of that thing being what it is. But I guess kind of behind that, we can do something that kind of makes it more consistent across the board. But it might hit performance if it's like every time that you change something, you have to do a deep copy of an object, and maybe that object can become really complicated. And
I don't think you need to make a deep copy of it. Like with JavaScript, you can just use the spread, which makes a shallow copy, right?
But what about nested objects? What about a game node that has, or not a game node, but like a players that has, I mean, the WebSocket is one thing. The player map has the socket in that thing. How do you handle that if it's an immutable thing? You have to move the socket over each time. So it's like, take the player object and then say, when you move this over to become a new version of it, copy over every property that's not the socket. And then when you copy the socket, actually just, you know what I mean? It's like fancy logic you have to implement, which might become a mess. And, for the benefit of testing, I totally get, but I don't know if, I guess I just don't know what it looks like. But, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about trying that with my current branch. I'm basically doing what you were doing, when I'm just jamming more and more stuff into this branch.
It's so hard not to.
It really is
fun to do.
But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a commit with all the test stuff, and then do this, and then whether or not it works out, I won't commit it as part of this PR. The test stuff will be their own PR. And then the next thing I needed to add in, I need to pull out actually the like who tweeted this game game from this branch as well, so make that a PR. So there's like there's already like 2 things in this thing, and I'm gonna add a third. But I know like what I need to pull out, so I'll just start to like.
This is me like 7 weeks ago, dude.
I know.
Like, I just gotta pull it out.
I know, and I'm doing the exact same thing. I know. I'm falling in the exact same pit hole here. So I don't know, but part of the reason I was like running into it was some of our games don't even have like a handle player connect and handle player disconnect functions.
But they don't need to.
I know they don't need to, but that makes me have to now write into the test if there is not a, like I need to do like this dot handle player disconnect and handle dot player disconnect, like the function call itself, like basically like if this function exists and the call happens, we're good.
Well, it could be structured in a different way. You could you could have some sort of a game node spec where you have some sort of list of all of the keys that are required for a game to define and all of the keys that are not defined and then or not required, and then have each of those mapped to some function that would validate that whatever to test against it. Or
we talked about doing that, and we ended up saying like yes, but not right now to that because we weren't sure with how much stuff could change, whether or not what like basically like we weren't sure like what wanted to stay and what wanted to not stay. Which is why I was saying like with the immutability part of it, you could just say like, is this what was in there plus this thing or not, basically.
Yeah, but you're still just checking the state. I mean, I guess it's like it makes it easier for the testing, but it's the same. Like, I don't know if it benefits other stuff. Because it's like, oh, I had this thing before, and its name was Yazeed, and now I modified the name, and now it's Yazeed 2. Is the name on this new thing Yazeed 2? That's exactly the same if it's immutable or not underneath it. It's just what object you're actually checking against.
That makes sense.
I don't know. Testing is hard. It's like one of those things where we'll never have a good way to do it until we have like real answers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you talked about a few weeks ago about how testing is kind of like it's a good way to see how code is working without actually digging into the source itself, but you can read the test, and that's a good way to see how it should work. So something like, handle player disconnect and handle player disconnect maybe could be handled in a more clean way, but at the end of the day, someone can read that and see that it's not required.
I see. Yeah. The other thing is I hard require a close function in all games now.
Okay. But
I hard require it in the test, so you won't pass tests if you don't have a close function.
But what if they have no state to clean up? Like no open anything to clean up?
They can just, if they have no state to clean up, they should handle disconnecting all the players minimum.
But even if they don't care about players, because the player connection is handled above the game, and so yeah. But
the close should happen regardless of the players connected or not, right? It's like if you close the session, it should kick everybody out of the session.
But the game doesn't control that. That happens outside of the game.
No, but it should close out all of it should disconnect every player and then like turn off almost. Like if every player has been disconnected, now no one can function on the game anymore. I don't know. Well, the reason I required the close function is it's easier to do that and then have people handle their interval stuff in there, which is like the whole reason why that close function is there, because some of our games have loose intervals. And I had to go through and be like, does this game have an interval? Okay, the close function needs to do it. Like, close that. Make sure that interval is closed.
Yeah, but if my game is like a still image,
then we have games like that too. They just like husk functions. So it's just a close function with the comment that says does nothing.
Yeah, but I don't think requiring someone to put a no op is like a good vibe.
The reason that I wanted to add that in there was because if somebody else is going to develop a game and they had intervals, their tests wouldn't complete, which is the problem. It
I
stalls
understand
the testing framework with the interval until the interval closes itself, which may
I understand
not
the
happen.
need.
Sorry, go ahead.
The need for an optional close function, but if I don't need it, I shouldn't have to define it. The same way, if I don't need a handle player connect, handle player disconnect, handle blah blah blah. If I don't need to do those things in my game, then it's kind of like how in Java, like if you do a new subclass from like a base, and it'll automatically fill in all the methods for you. And it'll be like, oh, it'll override every method and it'll add a little stub. And you remove half of them because you don't need them. But we're basically proposing a world where you have to leave all that in, and half of your class or majority of your class could be busted. And then in the future, when we add new functionality, right now we're adding new functionality. Closed, it's a new function that allows you to handle your cleanup of your intervals. Game developers, aka us, you can go and update your things and have more clean handling of whatever. But if we add this and we say it's required now, your game just doesn't work anymore, and you have to go add a no-op.
Yes. So the reason I'm saying, the reason I decided to, or I think we should require it, is there's no way to know from like just looking, there's no way to know at the test level whether that game contains an interval or not. Requiring it means that we will run the close function minimum, and that should let you know that your test didn't pass. Because if the close function attempted to be ran and it didn't do what it was supposed to do, there will be an error because it won't close.
But if it's you have an interval that doesn't get cleaned up, and my test is running against your thing, if I don't call close and I don't call anything, it just hangs and it fails.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If I do call close and you don't clean up your own interval, it hangs and it fails.
Yes.
It's the exact same behavior.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But on the test level, all you need to do is check if it has it. And if it does, then you can call it. And if it still doesn't do what it needs to do, then it'll hang and fail. Maybe you can add a timeout of like a minute on your test and say like, okay, well, you did this thing, or I don't know, some other sort of check at the end. But like the actual,
I think Jest also does a timeout on your tests, like by default.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
It's a good idea.
So maybe we should add a timeout there and say like we ran your thing and after a minute it's still running. We don't know, but this is not good. So fix this.
Yeah. I have to say, building a test framework, fun,
not easy,
but also like hilariously like why? Like, I think I've learned a lot about testing by writing my own framework, but at the same time, it's like, please just stop writing bad code.
That's the beauty of it, though. It's like where they get to learn stuff. It's like so much of like learning how code works is removed by, like, frameworks and whatever, and they definitely have so much practical use, like in actual industry, whatever. But in something like this, it's where we're just trying to learn stuff. So it's very frustrating sometimes.
It's been fun. I'll add a timeout for there, and I'll drop the close functions that are just husks. But that's a good point. That's pretty much all I had for home game stuff. Except for one thing that you were going to talk about also. Yeah,
you sent me this article earlier this week or sometime last week or something, but it was about how to set up SSL locally, which is something that we talked about before. Setting up SSL will definitely be a giant hurdle for us because we need it to get microphone access in a web browser. We need it to get other things. There's at least one other thing that I forgot about. It was maybe WebRTC related, but
it was microphone, video, and
video.
You needed video to get WebRTC working for Firefox. Some question.
I needed to get the permission for it, but in order to request permission, yes, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It is all microphone access, but in Firefox, in order to do RTC, you need to have microphone permission, and I can't ask you for that unless I have SSL. That's what it was. So I have a pocket knife in my hand. I'll probably put this away.
Please. I think the worst possible timeline would be for you to accidentally stab yourself while talking about SSL on this podcast.
That's how I went out, yeah.
I have to call someone and be like, hey, what are you doing? And like, are you comfortable? Your boy is dying. Can you go call an ambulance for him, please?
On video too. But yeah, no. So it was talking about how to set all that stuff up locally. So the only thing that we talked about before was that Plex, we know, does this, where you can have HTTPS over a locally running like just a private IP, and then Plex does some fancy mapping to give you an HTTPS domain thing for it. Excuse me. So anyway, that was kind of the thing, and I read over it. I think did you also read over it?
I did, yes.
So seems doable. I don't know. It's kind of the thing that Plex had referenced to, becoming your own certificate authority or something like that. And and I've seen that referenced in other stuff, but it's always like with this dev setup thing. So a lot of the time, it's assuming that the user is comfortable going and adding a .pem file to their keychain or anything like that. And also in that article, they only discussed how to do that with iOS and Mac. And there's definitely ways to do it on Windows and Linux, but I think, just to kind of, I think for my thing is that process will always be a pain, and I don't think there's at least at the moment, there's a good solution that we have for seamless HTTPS by just running a binary. So maybe it's this thing of, hey, technically minded people, you're already technically minded because you're maybe running this yourself, or you're kind of the home games weirdo in your group and you wanted to show your friends or whatever. And so you also need to leap over this technical hurdle of adding this domain to your keychain, and here's how you would do that. But if you don't want to do that, here's a hosted version, but also pay us.
Yeah, I think the problem we run into, and I think this is something you touched on, is becoming your own certificate authority. And for people who don't know, that just means like you verify that the request is certified, basically. Like it's not a spoofed request. Which is one of the benefits of HTTPS. But anyway,
when you say that you're talking to homegames.io, there's some authority that has said this certificate belongs to homegames.io, and this thing that you're talking to is homegames.io, and I've validated that from the certificate. I don't know like super detailed about how that works, but
I also do not. But one of the problems that I think we're running into is that on every device you have to add that certificate. So if your friends Bob and Steve show up, Bob and Steve, you have to be like, let me see your phone. I don't even know if you can add a certificate like that on a phone. Like I don't know what the...
They had instructions for iOS, and I'm sure you can do it on Android.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just like, Jesus, that's going to be like such a nightmare. Like, okay, hey guys, you want to play this cool game with me? I made it in Home Games. Let me see your phone real quick. I have to add a file to your phone that you won't understand what it means or does. And there we go. Now you can play. Like, I don't know. That just seemed kind of jank to me. But they have a couple other solutions in that article. So like I was thinking maybe like just... what is it called? Like building a web or whatever, where you just start like going down all the chains and seeing what maybe is a better approach.
Yeah. And I think it's hard because time these days is so limited outside of work and outside of like life and everything. So it's like, okay, well, home games time is valuable. What do I spend it doing? There's like an infinite list of things that we could be doing, and going down this exploratory phase of, can we do this in a good way and whatever, all this kind of stuff. Like we know the benefits, and I guess there's other things that we can do that have more clear and direct, if I work this many hours, I get this benefit out roughly. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to manage time with all this kind of stuff. Like we're our own project managers. So basically, someone become our project manager, do it for free, and be really good at it. Please.
Yeah, I'll hit up some contact. No. Listen, if I ever won the lottery, I'd be like, listen, $1 million to Home Games. You have to quit your job and just do Home Games and see how far we could go with it.
Not far. I'd buy like a bunch of like Gucci pants first week, and then we're broke.
It's like I think overall like that didn't work. I think I'll just probably continue to find articles and stuff. But also I want to throw the shout out in there in case like some crazy reason they find this podcast. The D&D group that I've been trying to quit for months now is actually the source of this article that was possibly the solution and may still be like the key to finding the solution for SSL. So for anyone listening out there who's also having a hard time leaving a group of people who you don't necessarily enjoy hanging out with all the time, occasionally you'll find gold in that group, but 90% of the time it'll be sadness. Not sadness.
Do you have friends you don't like?
Just
keep
like,
hanging out with them. They might give you something.
Of value, but they'll definitely give you something, but only occasionally of value.
It's a really dark view of friendships. Maybe that's what this is. You're just like, this guy sucks. Maybe one day he'll give me that Mickey hat. Been eyeing it, you know.
I think I've known you for too long. I've sucked all the value out of you. I'm just here for the fun.
I've sucked all the value out of you. It's like a really, really impactful thing to say to somebody.
I kid. But yeah, I don't know. I think that we do need SSL for a myriad of reasons, but I think you're right. I think it just is going to be like a side thing where maybe you find an article once a week or something like that. Or like once every few podcasts, we just find an article, read it, and then talk about it. Because the other thing I wanted to talk about is that guy goes off and doesn't explain any of his terminology. And I had to go look up side stuff of like, what even is he talking about here? Like, what is this? It's like, all you need is to run this command, open SSL dash, and then I was like, I don't know what that command does. I've never seen it before. And I can't run it because I'm not on a Mac. So I have to like go and look it up and be like, what does this command do? It's like, oh, it generates a key, a certificate. And you're just like, all right, cool. I don't know.
No, yeah, that's like a lot of those kind of things. It's really hard. I mean, like we just did it earlier, right? Like side effects. If you don't know what that is, it's like other word that you might not know. Oh, if you don't know what that is, it's like other word you might not know. How far do you go? At a certain point, you're going to have to hit a wall where you either stop or like explain the bare minimum or like the core essence of each word that you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, I have to stop at scope here because that's hilarious. Like one of the hardest concepts to learn as a student. Like just very difficult concept to grasp, and I can't explain it, and I'm not smart enough. I know it and I use it all the time, but if somebody asks me like on a basic function, what is scope? I'd be like, it's the variables that you have access to, which is only like partially correct. Like it's the memory you have access to. Like that's the thing.
I don't know. I'm not a computer guy like that. I don't know how things work.
I don't know. I didn't really have anything else for home games. I was really hoping the SSL thing would be our magic key, but it turns out to just be a door that leads us to a bunch of hallways that may or may not actually have a key behind them. So,
solid metaphor, Yazeed. It's top tier.
Was it really?
No, it's kind of like it's like maybe a B minus.
Well, you know what? That's passing, and actually pretty good passing. On a test, I'd be really stoked to get a B minus. Honestly, pretty good about that one, all right?
That's below above average. So
average is definitely not a B.
No, below above average.
Oh,
like B minus.
Yeah,
it's like
okay, all right. I'm with you now. I understand. I understand things.
That's a good episode title. 36 below above average.
That is a good title. Are we gonna move on to song of the week?
Song of the week.
So I listened to "Going to the Ceremony" by Kid Lard Cudi.
Yeah.
That song is so depressing, dude.
Yeah.
That song is
it's
really
good,
dark.
It's not though, because he's still going. He doesn't know where he's going, but he's going. It's all happening.
Yeah, which is something I'm really into. I really like this song. It's kind of a dark song. It opens with him talking about like drinking a lot, and I was like, okay. And then it just kind of goes from there. Too. Yeah, it's like, all right. But I was into it. I liked it.
Great. Did you... Also, I realized we were talking last week about the alternative music that he made that you might like. And I thought you were talking about Speed and Bullet, but you were actually talking about Wizard. Because remember a long time ago we talked about Wizard and how you liked...
With no I.
At least, WZRD. Yeah. Which is like 10 years old at this point, which is wild. But, anyway, that was the thing you liked, which... People really don't like Wizard, so it's kind of interesting that you do. But maybe you should check out Satellite Flight or Wizard or anything that's not so rappy from Kid Cudi.
Yeah. It's not even like I dislike... I think I've slowly been liking rap more after doing this like Song of the Week thing. Because before I only really listened to like 4 rap boys / there's like 4 of their songs. So I listened to like 16 rap songs in total, period.
Good mental arithmetic you got there.
I'm getting a lot better at that. And the reason for it is I am trying to calculate exactly how much time I spend with my dog per day. And so I know.
Why?
I just want to know what the percentage of my day is that I spend directly interacting with my dog is.
Do you want the number to be high, low? Like what's the...
I don't know. Right now it's 3 hours per day.
That's a lot.
Is it?
That's 12.5% of your day.
Yeah, it's an eighth of my day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a lot or not. I've never had a dog before, so I don't know. The reason I'm doing that is because I recently had an epiphany that I don't know if she is happier now than she ever was in her whole life. And I would like her to be happier now than she ever was previously to today. But that means I need to figure out if me being around her makes her happier than me not being there, which means I need to figure out exactly how many, down to the minute, amount of time I spend with her. And then see if increasing that makes her appear happier, and then if decreasing that makes her appear, or if decreasing that makes her appear happier.
But if you're going to measure your time spent with her so meticulously, you have to be able to track her happiness in a more quantifiable way.
Which is another problem that I'm running into, where I don't know how to track if a dog is happy or not.
Yeah, I can't help you there. Also, you've been a robot on my thing for like a minute. Someone's internet is really not doing great, but I can still hear you.
Okay, well, I can hear you just fine, so this is troubling.
Great.
My song of the week this week, though, is it's spelled out ASIDO, but it's actually As I Do, but all one word, by Purity Ring.
Okay.
It's back to indie pop with a lady singer. It's just...
I've heard of Purity Ring before.
Yeah, they're pretty big in the indie pop scene. I would even consider them regular pop at this point. They're that big, but
the Indian's still big, right? I guess.
I honestly don't know what the cutover is. Like, is indie pop and pop two different things, or is it like you graduate from indie pop into regular pop?
Well, I imagine if you're going like literal with it, it's indie pop is people who aren't signed to labels and stuff.
Independent pop, maybe.
Yeah.
But like Arctic Monkeys was considered indie pop, and I'm pretty sure they were like indie.
But then that's just kind of like the vibe or whatever, and so it's just people feeling indie, which is just like you sound poor. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. I don't really firmly grasp genres, and we've talked about this before, but it's more in line with other things that I've pointed you to before as my song of the week.
Okay.
But yeah, I like it. It's a sad song. Just heads up, it's pretty sad. I don't want you to read too deep into it, so don't read too deep into it. But I like the song a lot.
Okay. Is this like a Tiny Rick situation where you're like expressing your true inner self through the music?
I worried about that when I first heard this song and was like, I really vibe with this song. And then I listened to the lyrics again and I was like, I really vibe with this song. And then was worried. It's a good song.
Okay.
It's not a happy song, but I like it a lot.
Great. Just a couple of we enjoy depressing things and recommend depressing things.
I really do enjoy depressing things.
The air quality here has been terrible, so my throat has been so like dry and terrible feeling for a while. Mountain Fire continues, by the way.
It does.
My song of the week. Oh, also the song that you recommended was Adventure Time, Everything Stays.
Yes.
I really liked that. I felt that song. The two notes I think I had was that the voice was super clear, so like it just super clean, like through all the instrumentals. Like the voice is just so present, which is cool. And the lyrics were something that I felt super hard, where it was like, it's just super weird because it's an Adventure Time song, but it was basically like everything stays, but everything changes always. Like there's little changes constantly adding up, and even if it's not the same as when you left it, like that thing had its own thing that changed without you. And I felt that so hard because the Tucson thing, you know, it's like. Like I lived in Tucson my whole life, and so did Synovia, and so we moved out to Seattle in 2016, and it was like, okay, well, we're doing this big experiment of like, let's just see how this works. Let's see what a big city is like. Let's see what working at a big company is like. Let's just see what this whole thing is after college, of like living our lives. And then it was 4 years that went by, and we would visit home, and things would always just be so crazy. It felt like outside of home, and we'd come home and it'd be different. It wouldn't be the same home that we thought it was when we left, because it's not the same place. Everything here changed when we were gone, and there is no such thing as that like original home. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing is just a moment in time. and I was like, holy shit, Adventure Time.
Dude, I'm telling you, Adventure Time's a really good show, but that song really does hit you hard. It's been on my playlist since I heard it for the first time. Like, it's really good.
It's a good song. It's short though, but it's good.
It is. It's a lullaby more than anything else. But I don't know if I would ever sing the second verse to a child, but possibly drowning in the ocean. I would not talk to them about that. I'd definitely just repeat the first verse over again.
No, but yeah, it's a good song.
Okay, I'm glad you liked it.
And my song of the week is "Wash Us in the Blood" by Kanye West and Travis Scott. The song just came out today.
Yeah, that's like super new, no?
Yeah, it's like the newest song I've ever made my song of the week. And the reasoning is a couple things. Well, one, I didn't listen to a whole lot of music this week. You know, just kind of, we didn't have stuff set up to listen to music a lot of the time. So I only listened to a few songs from my playlist, and I really didn't listen to anything new or things that I haven't kind of talked about before. But this song came out this morning, and the video was super interesting, and I think Kanye is making, like, actually interesting religious music, Christian music. And I'm not super, super religious. I mean, like, I was raised Catholic, but I'm not myself. You know, that's not my thing. But I'm still interested in what he's doing. And he's basically on this thing of, like, I don't know if you remember, but I talked about Jesus is King when it came out, I think in like late last year. And he basically made a rap album that still sounds good and interesting and kind of unique without swearing, which is big. And all talking about God and his faith and all this kind of stuff, which I respect. Especially for someone at that level. You know what I mean? Kanye West, like, that dude is a legend forever, and to take such a huge risk to transition to that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like an unknown and whatever. This song is like the evolution of that. It's like he did Yeezus. I don't know if you ever listened to Yeezus or whatever, but it was like a really loud, abrasive, crazy switch in style for him, and it was like in 2012, 2013. It was 2013. And, you know, kind of like yelling and weird, like, robotic sounds, and people call it industrial, but I kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it sounds like it was very, it's like hard metallic sounds, I guess, if you can kind of put a vibe to it.
Oh yeah, I listened to industrial metal at one point.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's got a very specific style, but Yeezus is that, and this feels like Yeezus if he was doing Christian music. You know, he's talking about stuff. I haven't listened to the lyrics super clearly. I know the Travis Scott verse, and he's talking about, like, the legality of state executions. Like, and I've never heard Travis Scott have an opinion on anything. So, like, it's pretty crazy that he's trying to do something on this song, you know, and, like, say something.
That's such a touchy topic. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's like a really, yeah, you know, I don't know. It's an interesting song. Like, it made me listen to it, and it sounds good. It sounds like something you can play in a car and not be embarrassed by. Like the Kanye stuff, you know, like the old the Jesus is King stuff. Like, you can play songs from that album, like with Pusha T and Malice from Clips, who are like legendary rappers, like doing rap stuff, and it's not corny because it's them. You know what I mean? And it sounds good. It's not like the Cool Church type corniness, like spiky hair, like, hey kids, you like Jesus?
It's like, not the rappers from the positivity rappers from Leprechaun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like genuine, and when it's genuine, I think it's, as long as you're like genuine, it's like doing it well. You know what I mean? And I think his whole thing is genuine, and he's just like doing really interesting stuff still this late in his career. So, just song of the week. That's it.
Nice. I will give it a listen. I really haven't listened to much Kanye, I would say. I think the most I've ever listened to his albums was from 303s and Broken Hearts.
808s and Heartbreak.
Yeah, there we go. Whoops.
303s and Broken Hearts.
I knew there was a number and then something about hearts, and I was like, well, I'm gonna throw this out there. No, it's right.
303 is the I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him song.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, yeah.
That's a really big mistake, I feel like. One of the best rap boys of all time, and I mistake his album, like one of his like flagship albums, for like a silly like pop group.
It's all good. It's all just numbers and whatever. I love Kanye West. I mean, that's obvious. Like, I'm like a huge Kanye fan. My favorite album of his, in case you're like, if you want to be like, if you're like, hey Joseph, what album should I listen to from Kanye West to like gain a full appreciation? I would say Late Registration. It's his second album. It's my favorite probably of his, and I go back and forth on my favorite album of his a lot between his first and his second album, which is College Dropout and Late Registration. But Late Registration has like a mood to it. It's got violins and shit in it. It's just so like nice sounding, and it's got like a dark tone throughout the entire thing, but it sounds great. Like every song is incredible. He went broke recording that album. He took all of his money from his first album and his advance on his second album, and he put all of the money into making this thing exactly what he wanted, just betting it all on like doing it again, and he did. And then again, because he's Kanye. You know what I mean? Like, he had so much confidence in himself because he knows he's the GOAT. So he just, like, kept going. But Late Registration was, I think, like, the first one of him, like, ascending. You know what I mean? And it just sounds so good. It's so good.
I'll have to check it out because I don't even know if I've heard any songs off that album.
Gold Digger is from that album.
I have heard that song.
And that's not one of my, like, I don't really love that song, but it's one of my favorite of his, like, poppier songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I only know that song because it was on the radio.
Yeah. And Touch the Sky, you might have heard also. It's one with Lupe Fiasco. The video, he's, like, Evil Knievel. Anyway.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Anyway, Kanye's amazing. So, you could listen to anything he's ever made and probably be pretty happy with it.
No, right on. I will check out his second album.
Yeah, Late Registration.
Late Registration. Which is going to confuse me, probably.
Well, because it was College Dropout. It was like a college theme. It was College Dropout, Late Registration, and then Graduation. So he graduated on the third album, which was like a year early. And then it was 808s. And then it was like all the other stuff.
Ah, okay. I see.
Yeah. 808s is amazing too. But it's like, it's like one of those things like people didn't appreciate it till 5-10 years after it came out.
Really? I feel like songs on that album were like big though.
People liked Love Lockdown, but
Yeah.
that's because that was the one that was kind of dancey. But the ones where he's like crying about his mom, no one wants to hear that on the radio. But people heard that and were like, this doesn't slap, so I don't want to hear this. But it that album like changed stuff. You know what I mean? It's like really big. So
Nice.
Anyway, Kanye West. I could talk about that dude for hours.
Well, unfortunately, we do not have hours today.
Unfortunately, I have 2 hours to edit this.
Jesus. Thanks again for editing it, man.
Of course. I think I'm getting okay at it. I have that template now, so I can just copy paste the audio tracks that we have, and it's not that bad.
And for all the listeners at home, thanks for sticking by. Good luck living
in the world. It's tough
in the
these
world,
days,
honestly, dude. Like, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, next week we'll see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Dang it, every time. One day I'll get you to say bye-bye.